Today we are unpacking the simple but incredibly profound parable, Who Moved My Cheese? It's a short, powerful story with a massive message about the one thing in life that's always guaranteed: change. And it all kicks off with a question that every single one of us has to face, probably more often than we'd like. How do you react when the world you've built for yourself, the routine you count on, is suddenly flipped upside down? Okay, so to really get this story, we first need to understand its two core metaphors. First, you've got the cheese. Now, this isn't just about cheese. It's a stand-in for anything you want in life. A great job, a loving relationship, money, health, even just peace of mind. And the maze? Well, that's where you look for it. Your workplace, your family, your community. It's really the journey of life itself. So our story gets started inside this maze, where we meet four little characters who are, for a little while anyway, living the absolute perfect life. They found their happiness, their big score. Now, these four characters basically represent the different parts of ourselves. You've got two simple mice: Sniff, who has this knack for sniffing out change early, and Scurry, who doesn't waste a second scurrying into action. And then there are the two little people, who are a bit more complex. Hem, who just digs in his heels, denying and resisting change. And Haw, who eventually figures out how to adapt once he sees that change can actually lead to something better. For a long, long time, life was, well, it was easy. Their routine was set. Every single morning, they'd all head over to this place called Cheese Station C. And there it was, a huge, seemingly endless pile of their favorite cheese, just waiting for them. Now, for the mice, it was pretty simple. It was just food. But for Hem and Haw, oh man, this cheese became their entire world. They got so comfortable, so sure of their success, that their confidence ticked over into arrogance. They completely stopped paying attention to the little things changing around them, assuming their perfect life would last forever. And then, you guessed it, the inevitable happens. One morning, they show up at Cheese Station C, all ready for their daily feast, and they discover the unthinkable. It was just gone. Every last crumb of their cheese, the very foundation of their happiness and their security, had completely vanished. And Hem, who is totally blindsided by this, just loses it. He screams out in pure anger, "Who moved my cheese?" He feels like a victim. He just yells, "It's not fair." And right there, in that one moment of crisis, you see the massive difference between our four characters. I mean, their reactions could not have been more opposite. On one hand, you've got Sniff and Scurry, the mice. They weren't even that surprised. See, they'd noticed the cheese supply getting smaller and smaller every day. So they just put on their running shoes and immediately took off to find new cheese. But Ham and Haw? Totally different story. They were just paralyzed. They analyzed everything, they complained, they blamed everyone but themselves, and they absolutely refused to accept reality. You see, for them, the cheese wasn't just lunch. It was their identity, their sense of security, their whole vision of the future. And that's a key takeaway here. The more important your old cheese is to you, the harder it becomes to let go and move on. So, Hem's fear starts talking, right? And it comes up with this whole list of excuses to do absolutely nothing. He tells himself they're special, that they're entitled to this cheese. He convinces himself the maze is way too dangerous. And hey, maybe if they just wait long enough, someone will put the cheese back. He's basically building a prison for himself out of his own fear. But, as the days dragged on and just got hungrier and more frustrated, something started to shift for one of them. Haw began to have this breakthrough. He started to see just how ridiculous their situation really was. He actually laughed out loud at himself, realizing how absurd they were being, just showing up to an empty station every single day expecting a different result. He knew staying there was basically a slow death, and their only real hope was to be brave and head back out into the maze. And before he leaves his friend, who's still paralyzed by fear, he writes this simple, powerful message on the wall: "If you do not change, you can become extinct." This was his first huge realization. To survive, you have to be willing to change. So as Haw makes his way through the maze all alone, he starts leaving these little notes on the wall. He's basically creating a roadmap, not just for his friend Hem to follow, but for any of us navigating the scary parts of change. But the real game changer, the thing that truly set him free from his fear, was this one powerful question he asked himself: what would you do if you weren't afraid? That simple question was the key that unlocked everything for him. And what he found was just amazing. The second he started moving, just taking that first step into a new direction, he immediately started to feel better. Action was the cure for his despair. He realized that just waiting around in that empty old station was way, way worse than the uncertainty of the maze. He also stumbled upon this incredible mental trick. He started picturing it in his mind, imagining in vivid detail, finding and enjoying delicious new kinds of cheese. Having that clear, positive picture of his goal gave him the strength to keep going when things got tough. This whole journey forced him to look in the mirror, He realized that his old beliefs, that sense of entitlement, that idea that all change was bad, those were the real traps. You just can't find a new future if you're still clinging to the ideas of your past. And the payoff for all this courage? Oh, it was huge. It wasn't just about survival. His journey eventually led him all the way to Cheese Station N, where he found a supply of new and different cheeses that was bigger and better than anything he had ever imagined. So, when you boil it all down, the lessons Hall wrote on those walls are really a timeless guide for all of us. Change is going to happen. That's a given. The smart move is to anticipate it, keep an eye on it, and adapt to it as fast as you can. And maybe even learn to enjoy it and be ready for the next adventure. And that brings us to the final challenge of the story, the question it leaves for you and me to think about. Whatever it is you want in life, whatever your cheese is, it's out there. The only question is, what's your first step into the maze?